Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Career Happy Hour. I am your host. All right, all right. We are up and going and live. So, welcome to Career Happy Hour. Again, I am your host, Lashina Recruitalina, your six-figure career life coach. I am your career mixologist for the Career Happy Hour, and hopefully, everyone has had a most amazing week ever. And if you're anything like me, Friday is wind down time, and we want to be able to come together and to be able to relax, unwind. Do you have your favorite beverage in hand? And we're going to have a lively conversation that is related to your career and making your career a business, the business that it is, because that's how we bring in our income, our revenue, so we can make sure that we're living the best life possible, our best career life. So tonight, I am super excited to have the guests that we have tonight. When I tell you, you are in for a treat, you absolutely are. I cannot wait for us to be able to dig deep into some conversations, because we have plenty of conversations without the camera. So we said, you know what, we need to just bring the camera and to be able to share some of these nuggets with everyone who will listen. So thank you for tuning in for Career Happy Hour. If you're not able to catch us live, then welcome to those who are joining us on the replay. And we are going to get started, and we are going to welcome our guest co-host, Isaiah Coffey. Now, I introduce you on the email and in the Facebook group as King
Oh man.
Amateur Entrepreneur.
Okay.
So with that title, I am going to turn it over to you, and for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you do.
Okay. So a little bit about myself. I was originally born in. All right. So let me just go ahead and say this. After that introduction, I really appreciate that. So, I have my drink here, for the Career Happy Hour inside
Good.
this mason jar, because
Good.
I couldn't find no more tumblers or any wine drinks. But after that introduction, I felt so under pressure. I wish I had put some liquor in it. 'Cause I got some apple juice in this, and this apple juice, it's not hitting strong enough tonight. Not for that.
You got to go in your secret stash.
Oh my goodness, man! That secret stash was I wiped that out last night when I found out I was going to be on the show.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm messing with you. No, but so a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Alabama, and I'm a military veteran. Got out of the Navy in 1999, and from there, I transitioned over into real estate because I always had this innate desire to want to be able to be, I guess as the old adage may say, it may be cliche now, but to become the captain of your own dreams, to create the world that you want. And was in real estate for a while. And yeah, it didn't work out the way that I imagined that it was going to work out. So when the market crashed in 2008, not a lot of closings were coming in, and I ended up transitioning over into law enforcement. So I was a police officer with the Atlanta Police Department for right at about 8 years. And after, dealing with that, that's a different type of energy. When you come from a world of freedom and you're able to do what you want to do when you want to do it as an entrepreneur, but it has to be within, your financial means. And then to go to a world where they're telling you where you can go, when you cannot go, whether or not you can be on vacation, but at the same time, to come from a place of freedom to being in a place to where you're taking away freedom, that was a hard shift. And, the energy is just different too, because your entire day, you're just looking for bad energy. That's it. Your job is to go handle other people's problems. And then after 8 hours of dealing with their problems, you come home and you still have to deal with your own problems. So, of course, that started to do a wear and tear on me mentally, emotionally. And I ended up leaving the police department and said I was going to strike at real estate once again, and went back into real estate in Atlanta. And we end up leaving Atlanta because we couldn't find any palm trees. My wife, she originally from Detroit. So couldn't find no palm trees, no tropical breezes, no beach. So he's like, you know what? We always vacation down to Florida. So why not just go to Florida? So came down here to Florida. We found the palm trees, and I got my real estate license down here. And I end up moving, I didn't activate it, but I end up moving towards a different form of entrepreneurship, which was helping other people to become entrepreneurs themselves. And so for me, because I was starting over again at that beginning, the beginning stages of that process, because I was in a different niche, which is totally different from real estate, I said, you know what? I have a passion for entrepreneurship. And I know that the definition of amateur is to be able to take on an undertaking or any type of study, something that you actually love, that you're not getting paid for. And when I initially started out, I wasn't getting paid for it at all. So I was like, you know what? The amateur entrepreneur, because a lot of people like to, and I'm not hasty generalizing, but, a lot of people like to pass themselves off as the guru, or they're like the number one in whatever industry that they may be. And it's almost as if to where so many people want to be the best at what they do, that the ones who are starting off at the beginning, they get shunned. And it's almost as if, like, because you're at the beginning stages of your process, you don't have anything that could be contributive to whatever the context may be for that conversation, or you can't come from a place of value. And so I wanted to be able to empower people to show that there should be no shame at starting at the beginning, because of the fact that at least you're starting. So while you're out there on the court, there are people that are in the stands that are watching you while you're on the court, whether you're on the bench or whether you're actually taking the game-winning shot. Doesn't matter. The fact that you're actually playing the game is all that counts. So the amateur entrepreneur is it's my brand under Legal Legacies, and that's where I'm at today.
Oh, what a wild story. Yeah, it's just, no one would ever be able to say, okay, this is how I'm going to write my career. What you just said, there's no way someone would sit down and say, this is what I'm going to do with my career. And there's so many nuggets that I want to dive into, but before we move into that area, because I know once we start down that road, then we're not going to turn back. But what is it that you think made you think, okay, I want to go into the military, or okay, I want to try real estate right now, or I want to join the law enforcement? What was some of those thoughts that were going through your head when you made those decisions? Because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are still trying to figure out what they want to do when they grow up, right? And so, looking at how different some of those journeys were, what is it that, made you decide to go down those paths?
And, it's interesting. The underlying current under all of them, of course, would be money, which I don't want to come from a place of, like I'm superficial in the sense of where it's only about money. But at the end of the day, I wasn't going to do anything for free that was going to require a majority of my time over the course of a day. But what led me into the military was because I graduated high school early at 17. Really didn't, in our household, we really didn't talk about college that much. And my father was, he was in the Army, did 33 years, I believe. So the first thing when I was getting close to graduation was, what branch are you choosing?
Yep.
So I was like, okay. So he was like, whatever branch you choose, do not go into the Army. So at that point, at 17, one of the reasons why I graduated early, because I was just ready to be done with school from the jump. So even if college was an option, I probably would not have taken it at that time. But I wanted to just get out and go see the world, because I lived in Germany for 13 years because my father was in the Army. And my dad was like, listen, do not go into the Army under no circumstances, but you can choose the Air Force, you can choose the Navy, you can choose Coast Guard, or you can do the Marines. And he was like, but your grandfather, your uncle were in the Navy. You have a cousin that's in the Navy, which is Tyrone. And my grandfather on my mother's side as well. So I was like, you know what? The Navy sounds like a really, really dope opportunity, for me to be able to go out there and make my own definition of what it is to be a man, to learn more about me, but at the same time to travel the world and have my own personal experiences without my parents or my family hovering over me. So it's almost like I was able to spread my own wings and actually fly. And when so I did my time in the military. When I got out, I realized that I really didn't like people telling me what to do all the time. And so that was one of the things that spurred me to cut my military career short, to get out the Navy and to go into real estate, because I said, you know what, real estate, I love looking at houses. I just love everything about, architecture, interior design, etc. So I said real estate would be a perfect fit. And someone had actually recommended to me that I think that you would do really well in real estate. So it didn't take long for me to say, wait a second, I love real estate. And other people over here are telling me that I would do well in real estate. So let me see if I could just match the two. And when I went into it, I don't know, maybe because I was still young, I could have been kind of naive about what success really was or how success could have came, because when you come from the military, you can put in a lot of effort. You can put in a little bit of effort. Your check is still going to be the same. So you take that mentality as soon as you fresh come out and you get into an arena where, no, it's really dependent upon your effort as an entrepreneur is what your check is going to be. But my mindset was, oh, the effort can be equal. That person can work really hard. And I think I can find a better way to work not as hard, and I should still get the same benefits that they do. And it didn't work out that way. So I guess that's one of the reasons why real estate initially did not work out as well as I intended, because that mindset that stayed. So when the real estate market crashed, not enough closings were coming in, not enough money, because it was far and few in between. I said, you know what? Let me give back to the community in some form or fashion. Policing it seemed like a really good opportunity for me to be able to do that. Then I ended up becoming a cop. At first, it was cool, you know what I'm saying? Because you're in the squad car, you're listening to the radio, and you're able to go to these particular homes and, and engage with these families and the children, and to be able to actually make some type of impact within that neighborhood. But over time, when you start seeing the different types of, crimes that people, that they commit against each other, it starts to wear on you. And so, you get to the point to where you start becoming very cynical about life. And I have, children, and even my wife was telling me that you've changed. Now, to me, I didn't think I changed. I thought I was the same guy that joined before I joined. I thought I was the exact same guy who was very jovial, very funny. But she was like, no, you've changed. And so I guess it's kind of like when you work out, you don't never see the results, over the course of all the work that you're doing during the workout. But the people that are on the outside, they see the change gradually quicker than you do. I mean, because you live with yourself every day, so you don't really feel those subtle changes. But the people that were outside of me, such as my wife, she saw those changes more prevalent than I did. And so when I realized that, okay, if she's saying that I've changed, and I do recognize the fact that I am cynical, but I don't think that I changed to the point to where she did, then maybe it's time for me to start reevaluating the situation. And then two, I didn't feel that I would be doing any justice for my children with regards to being able to leave a legacy behind for them. Because when I pass away, they can't get my checks from the Atlanta Police Department. Right. And so to me, that's just going to put them right back where I started, which is at the beginning of the starting line. So I at least felt like my duty was to at least leave them a little further ahead in life than where I started, past the baton. So, and if I'm not passing the baton, then I feel like I'm not doing my duty as a father and as a man. So that was, coupled with the, okay, I'm changing. My wife is seeing it, but at the same time, this is not the type of legacy that I want to build for my family. Okay, it's time to go ahead and cut the cord and get out of here. So when I cut that cord and got out, went back into real estate, but then realized, okay, I'm kind of familiar with this territory, but real estate just didn't, that passion, that fire that I had initially, I thought that was there, but I think it was the freedom that I was more so engaged with, and that I had a love for, as opposed to the actual industry itself. Because there was some parts of that industry that I just thought was unfair, which is like, case in point, you take a listing to sell somebody's house and you sell it for 6%, right? But when you sell it for 6%, that's coming out of their equity. You know what I mean? So it's almost like everything that so you're going to work every single day and you're paying constantly to be able to build, personal wealth. And a large chunk of that personal wealth is in your house's equity. But
Yep.
if a good chunk of that equity is going to a brokerage, then it's like I found that to be kind of like it's unfair. And even if you don't have equity in the property, but you still go through a real estate agency, then you find yourself in a position where that real estate broker still has to get paid, whether you have the equity in there to pay them or not. And that's the part that I was like, don't think this is, I personally don't think that's fair. So, end up kind of, leaving the license inactive and not really engaging in that industry, because I've always been of the belief that you should only engage in things that you truly have a passion for, and only, recommend, or I don't want to use the term sell, but, give products to other people that you truly believe in. And because I couldn't truly believe in that process, I couldn't just, I couldn't see myself climbing that ladder of success the way I've always envisioned that I could, unless I could find another way to where it could be a true win-win transaction and fair with both people. So that's how I end up moving over into entrepreneurship, because I realized that, a lot of people have dreams that they want to realize. They just don't know where to begin. And I have start so many times that I am very familiar with the beginning process. And so that knowledge that I was able to learn over the course of time and through my experiences, I'm able to share that with others, so that way it can help them to make their beginning process a little bit more efficient and to speed that along, as opposed to them having to go out and search for it all over again when I've already found most of the tools and the resources. Not all of them, but I found a good chunk of them that can help them out. So that's what led me to make those decisions in those particular areas for the different phases of my careers.
Well, as usual, there is so much that I can unpack in everything that you said. It was just, and I so appreciate your transparency, because a lot of what you've just shared is what other people have thought, but they wouldn't ever breathe a word of that, because it's, you're not supposed to, talk about those different things. Well, and we've had so many comments from our audience. They're just loving you, loving everything that you're saying. And we have a lot of military support. So cool. Let's see, we have the Air Force that's checking in over here. We have let's see, military brethren that is representing. And then what does this one say? Oh, child, military, then law enforcement. Yikes.
Man, yeah. Well, hold on now. I don't want y'all thinking that I got out the military and went right into putting on a duty belt. It didn't work that way. So I got out in 1999, and then I went into the Atlanta Police Department in 2010. So it's about a decade in there. I had a little bit of a break to be able to breathe, but the energy is, police and energy is that's a whole nother level.
It really is. It's something that is definitely underestimated when you're putting yourself out on the line, and you're putting your life on the line every day, and how you bring those things home. And that's what, a lot of people, they think that their career and their job is separate than the rest of their life with their family, but they're all intertwined. So, how you're able to, if you are loving what you do, then it's going to make you a happier person. It's going to make you a happier family person. But if you are hating what you do in your job, then it's going to carry over. It's going to filter through, and it's going to impact every aspect of your life.
That's true.
I love this comment. Legacy is so important.
Man, everything.
That is a really powerful statement. Everything. And one of the other comments that I want to unpack a little bit is, that's a great point regarding the effort equals result. Because that is so in alignment with our topic that we're going to delve a little bit into. But with that, I want to be able to have you share a little bit about currency. Currency, that word is such a powerful word. So do tell us a little bit about currency, because I think that it aligns so well with what you talked about in the military, how regardless of how much effort you put forth, you were going to get the same paycheck. Whereas outside of the military, it does make a difference how much effort you put in and how that can impact your paycheck and your currency and your values. So tell us a little bit about currency.
Okay. Well, for me, I mean, it's pretty simple. Currency, depending on which way you want to kind of flip it. I love to do analogies, but just like with water or a current, it's about movement, and money is the exact same way. It doesn't really have value if it's not moving. If it's sitting in a bank account, it should be accruing some type of interest on, an annual yield. Or you take that money, and if you want to grow your net worth, then you have to actually move that money from your bank account into an investment instrument. And it's the exact same thing with regards to your personal value. The only way you can actually give value to your community or to your family, you actually got to be active, within your community and within your family. And to be active within your community and your family means that you're actually, you have some type of movement, and that movement is a form of currency in itself. So currency doesn't necessarily have to be, fiat money or a financial instrument or whatever the case may be. It could just be your time. To me, time is the most valuable currency that we have. Time is consistently always moving in perpetuity. And so for me, in order for you to be able to be of value in general, is always making sure that whatever energy that you're putting out there into your environment, always to make sure it's coming from a good heart and it's coming from a good intention. So it's like, with this hat that I created, currency, these are different currency symbols, that creates this term, but we all come from different backgrounds and different cultures, but each of these symbols contributes to the global market. But it's the exact same way with regards to us as humans and to our backgrounds and to our cultures. We also contribute to the communal market or to our immediate family with regards to whatever value we bring to the table. Now, truth be told, when you exchange these values, one value may be a little bit more than a less, or one value may be a little bit more than the other, but it still does not negate the fact that it still carries value, because you can still do an exchange from the dollar to the peso or from the peso to the dollar. So for me, that's what currency is. It's about just being in action and staying in movement, because like the old saying goes, moving water never grows stale. And that's the thing. I don't want to become stale within my family, and I don't want to be stale within my community. And I definitely don't want the energy that I'm putting out there and I'm reaping money in return. I don't want that money to be stale also as well. So I always try to keep that moving, whether it's supporting the interests of my family's, their entrepreneurial journeys, or supporting the interests of other Black-owned businesses, or just supporting the interests of businesses, period, that contribute back into my community. So that's what currency is for me.
Oh, wow. I told you guys, he was bringing the fire.
I see somebody saying if they wore the hat for to bring them more money. I don't know if they bring you money, but I know it'll keep money on your mind.
Exactly.
Currency is on the head.
Yes. And so I totally believe that when you do wear the hat, it does attract more money, because that energy that you talked about is like, it's that water, it's that flowing water. And whatever energy you're putting out in the universe is what you're going to receive. And so if you have it top of mind and top of head,
that's true.
Then it's going to come through. and we've got to, of course, do a shameless plug. If someone really does want to get a hat and to wear currency on their head, that you do have merch that is available, right?
Yes, I do. If you go to the amateurentrepreneur.com, it'll pop up and you can go to the store. So right now I have, I think it's 3 caps that are on there. There's a lot of other merch that I've not uploaded to the site yet, but that'll be up there in the next week, within the next week or so. It should be up there. So I have like hoodies, t-shirts, sweat outfits, the whole 9 yards. So I'll be releasing those as they come. But,
all right, that website again, because we're going to have the production team to drop that in the chat.
The amateurentrepreneur.com. So
awesome. So www.theamateur.entrepreneur.com.
That's it.
And you have an amazing website, by the way. I'm just going to tell you, you represented with that website. And in that same line with the transparency that you just shared, your journey with your career thus far on your website, I love how authentic you are, because you dropping cuss words on your on your website.
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
who you are.
It's just me. Yeah,
it's just you.
It's just who I am. So I don't go in as hard as Gary V, but wherever I am in that moment is what is stated. So if I can't find the word to express the thought, then sometimes if it comes, it comes. But luckily, I've been finding the words as of late, right now, in this interview to express my thoughts. Right. So,
well,
but yeah, I think authenticity is important.
We had happy hour.
Oh, that's right.
So career style. So at happy hour, sometimes you gotta just let loose. Okay. If it if it drops, it drops. We have an adult. We have an adult version of this. So don't worry about all of that. But it's all about giving that experience. And whenever you have touch points, especially in this digital age that we have right now with the digital footprint, it's about being able to have that experience. And so when people go to your website, being able to have that experience, your social media, and your kudos to you. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's I think they'll see it's different, but it's like what you said, authenticity. And I realized that before you can be authentic with other people, you have to be authentic with yourself. And if you're not authentic with yourself, it doesn't matter how truthful you think that you are with somebody else, you're still lying because you're lying to yourself. And why portray yourself as a character that you're not or be a charlatan? Because, people can feel those vibes when something is not authentic and you're just trying to get over, whether it just be with a sale or whatever the act may be. And that's the thing is, for me, I realized I was like, you know what? I would rather people rock with me because they like me than for them to rock with me because they think that I'm something that I'm not. And then if they end up catching me out of character, they're like, yo, I'm not really, I don't like this dude. And then next thing you know, I got a lot of people falling off on the wayside. And now my ego is getting affected because I'm like, the fuck's going on? Why everybody leaving? But they're leaving because I'm not the person that they thought that I was. Right. So authenticity to me is probably one of the most important characteristics that I think, well, at least for me, that I have to maintain, going forth. Because I'm not going to lie. Of course, I've portrayed myself to present myself in a position where it's like I've achieved this particular level, and I act with the with the aura like I'm there. Right. And I know internally I'm not there. You know what I'm saying? You park your car way over there because you don't have the same kind of luxury cars that they have, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna catch y'all in a minute. And then you walking all the way around the corner. It's like, no. Just be you. Because why am I trying to impress other people when the most important thing that I have right now, the only people that I'm worried about impressing right now are my children and my wife. That's all I care about. As long as they're proud of me, I don't give a damn what the world thinks. Because the company that my wife and we created, which is called League of Legacies, is because our vision was to be able to create a league of families that are empowered and enabled with the necessary tools and resources to be able to create their own legacies, to be able to pass on wealth to their children. So now they can create this chain of generational wealth. At some point, it has to stop. And even if, of course, we all want to live in the aspect where we can experience the luxurious aspects of life. But if I never get to experience that, but I know that my children will at least have a better footing on this world after I go because of the steps that I'm doing right now to lay this foundation, then I can say without a shadow of doubt that yes, I can legitimately rest in peace, but I cannot rest in peace knowing that my children can still potentially struggle because of my inaction to be able to contribute to this family as well as to my community. So I have to set the example outside this house for them to show them how to interact with the world. But at the same time, like I said, if they're not proud of me, then what's it worth having the world stoked about you and your own family don't even care? And when I say your own family, your immediate family, that is, like your children or your spouse, if you can't get the respect of your household, well, what's the respect of the world?
I was trying to make sure that I had that website in the chat correct, because I want to make sure everybody can look at that awesomeness around there. So let's talk through that a little bit, because, one of the things that I love the phrase, but I think it can be misinterpreted a lot of times.
What's that?
Fake it till you make it. So
Yeah.
some people think of that as being inauthentic. And when they say fake it as you make it, but when I talk about it, I'm not saying fake it, meaning that you've got to get an expensive car that you can't afford, or have, you be your house poor, as they say. When I talk about fake it till you make it, I mean, when I talk about maximizing your oomph, like being able to own who you are,
I
to
agree.
have that, to walk
I
with
agree.
a level of confidence that, there's enough that beats us down every day, or we, have people that are judgmental about, oh, well, you wore that, or
Right,
you
right,
doing
right,
that, or oh,
right,
you trying to be all that. No,
right,
if you're confident and you own it, because a
right.
lot of people, they just don't even realize, unless they stand next to me, that I'm all of 5 foot. They say, but Lashina, you come in and it's as if you command a room, and I'm like,
Right.
for real? Like, I mean, I'm just
Yeah,
me. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
But that's what I think of when I say fake it till you make it. And that's a lot of what you shared, is being authentic, and you may not have it all together. And it's
Absolutely. And
okay.
that's okay.
It's
That's
just, and
okay.
it's not that you're trying to front, but what you do have to do is have that right mindset, that you're going to bring it.
Yeah.
That it's okay if you fail,
Right.
because
Yeah. Failure is great. Failure is dope.
yes.
I think failure is dope. And I'm gonna put that on a shirt. I think failure is dope. But I'm gonna spin that in so different ways. But here's what I think about fake it till you make it. So others don't think that I'm conflicting, with regards to my stance on being authentic and not trying to impress people. For me, when I think fake it till you make it, that means to me that you should believe in yourself so much that you end up becoming the actual thing that you believe. Not necessarily impressing the world to think that you're at a particular
Mhm.
level, but believing inwardly that, yes, I want to be whatever it is that you've set your heights to, and you act as if you are that until you actually embody that particular thing. And when I say act as if, not necessarily, walking around and speaking like you're from New York and you're not from New York. No, I'm just saying believing in you. It's just like a person that goes to the gym. They don't have any muscles, they're not strong, right? But they have to go and do the work consistently every single day. And then those muscles start to appear, or they start to get these nice shapes and they start to have a nice physique. It's the same thing mentally. In your mind, you have to work out. And working out is causing yourself to believe that, yes, you can be whatever it is that you want to be. But you also have these thoughts that can attack you, that make you say, well, you don't have this credential, or you're not as smart as them, or you didn't get this GPA, or you didn't go to this school, or you dropped out of school, or you don't have this network. That's fine. Everybody has their own value. You just have to find where can you instill yourself, where you can bring value to a particular people that need whatever talent that you have. And as you continue to reintroduce yourself to that particular problem with your solution, then you will start to see that this character that you had internally, or this level of success that you've always imagined, starts to realize itself and it starts to manifest. So it's just like they say, faith the size of the mustard seed. It's just belief. It's just belief. And a
Mhm.
mustard seed can take over acres of fields, but it starts with something small, and it starts with something as simple as a belief. So for me, fake it till you make it is more so believe it until you become it. Believe it until
Mhm.
you become it. And as long as I continue to believe it, then I'll eventually become it.
We have some comments. I
Yeah,
love
I mean, because you
that
are what you think.
you
Hands down.
are.
You are what you think.
are.
And if
And
you
you
think you're
know
a
the
failure, you're a failure. If you say,
and
I'm a
that's what
failure,
I
I'm
was
a failure,
just
I'm a
about to
failure.
say.
Okay, cool.
That's right. If you say you can't do it, you can't do it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean, what's that? What's that saying? They say if you say that you can, or if you say that you can't, you're right. Is that how I go? I think
Yes.
it's something like, yeah. So I mean, it all starts in the mind. It all starts right here. But even going beyond that, every reality, anything that you want, it starts here. It starts right here. Because once it starts here, then you start to commit the action behind what's here. And then that action starts to move throughout your environment. and it starts to ripple effect. And that environment starts to respond back. And when it responds back, if you're putting value out, you get value back. Whatever that value may be that you're agreeing to exchange. But it started here. The mind is what creates what we see. Just like this glass. Somebody had an idea. This didn't exist at one point in time, but it started here. And because they continue to say, you know what, I see it, I see it, I see it, I'm going to create it, I'm going to create it. They start blowing glass. Now you got a mason jar. And it's the same thing with anything that you want in life. As long as you continue to keep it here, you can manifest it out and you can create the reality that you want. But your reality starts right here in your mind. You have, and also people that you keep around you. I mean, I think you and I both know. People have a tendency, man, I'm telling you right now.
Come on, bring it.
Sometimes you got to trim your circle. And sometimes it's painful to trim that circle. And that could be family, it could be friends, it could be associates, it could be the things that you're reading, it could be the shows that you're watching, it could be the music that you're listening to. Because you got to think, all of this stuff that we're coming in is sensory perception. And so if you're reading content, for the mind, if you're reading content that's not feeding your mind is creating this imagery and these ideas that you see from what you're reading. But if it has nothing to do with regards to helping you to build your legacy or helping you to prove upon yourself, then it's almost like junk food. You see what I'm saying? If you're constantly eating junk food, you can go to the gym and be doing everything right. But if you don't have a healthy diet, then you're not going to show that, oh, this person has a nice physique or this person is in good health. You could have a nice physique, but you could be in bad health also as well. And it's the same thing with the mind. If you have people that are putting in these negative ideas, negative thoughts, they don't believe that you can do it. Or sometimes they try to spin and be like, oh, I don't think that'll work that way. And it's not that they don't think that you can do it. It's the fact that they don't think that they can do it. But what they like to do is they don't want to take responsibility for their own limited thinking. So what they do is they deflect that limited thinking onto you. So if your mind is getting fed all of these junk thoughts, you could be doing everything right. And you might look like you're successful, but your mind is unhealthy. Or you don't look successful at all because you have junk thoughts. And it also manifested itself that you don't have the success. And you can't climb into that level of success because you're creating this reality of being unsuccessful because you're feeding yourself unsuccessful thoughts. So for me, I mean, it's twofold. You got to work on yourself. Sometimes you have to mentally fast from people. Sometimes you got to mentally fast from content that you're consuming. And it's the exact same way with regards to the body. Sometimes you have to fast just to give your body a break so it can actually reset itself and, keep yourself healthy. So you have to mind the mind as much as you mind the body. But the same thing goes for your business. You got to mind your business. And that's one of the shirts that I have on there, which is mind your damn, the number one rule of entrepreneurship. So it's a double entendre, which is mind your damn business, which is mind your actual business, focus on that and nothing else, put your blinders on. But at the same time, stop worrying about the gossip or what's going on with everybody else and your competitors. You just make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do so that way you can bring the value that is necessary to your community so you can build the legacy that you can leave behind for your family and you can truly rest in peace when it comes to that time for you to rest in peace.
Oh my goodness, I'm trying to keep up with all these comments. You are bringing them out. If I had some music right now, I would be playing that song right now. but I want to be able to play this replay, so I can't do the music. Amen to fasting from people. Oh wow! And then it is very important to reset yourself.
Yep.
And then all of it shapes and molds your mind. It's just one of the things that I'm gonna toot your horn right now. I'm gonna toot your horn.
All right.
Because Isaiah, I'm telling you.
I'm listening.
There have been so many days where, we'll have a chat and it's like, you know what? How are we going to do this? How is this going to happen? What is this going to do? And we talk through it. We'll get a game plan together and we're there supporting each other, keeping each other accountable. You're like, sis, what you got? I got you. And you mean it. Like you literally come through. Whereas I'm going to tell you, some people say that they're there for you, but when the rubber meets the road, it's like, where you at? Where you at?
Yeah.
But
Just find
when
out.
they
Yeah.
got something going on, okay,
And
all
you don't
right,
support. Yeah. It's a
I'm gonna
problem.
bring it home now. When they need support, then they want you to be there lockstep with them.
Right.
But you ask them one thing, hey, go to this website. Hey, join this live. Hey, you hear crickets. It's like, what? But you, Isaiah, I'm telling you, you got mad support. And I know that's why you've made the progress and the success that you have had because you genuinely care.
Right.
It's not a front.
Right.
You want to help those that are in your circle,
Yeah.
that, and you know that energy that you give out, you give back. And I know that's why you having this this niche area of helping amateur entrepreneurs is such an amazing way of you being able to give back.
Yeah.
Because you're right, there's so many people that say, I want to start a business, because that happens, with their 9 to 5. Let's just put it that way. Because I coach my mentees, have multiple streams of income. Do not just depend on having that one paycheck from that one employer, because at any point you could get a pink slip.
Yeah.
So have those multiple streams of income. We've talked about that too.
Yeah.
And so sometimes there's that hesitancy. They want to, but they don't know where to get started. And I think that's the beauty of your business, is that you're there to say, you know what, I've been there. I know what you're going through. And that's what we need sometimes, is just to say, hey, I got you. It's okay. We can do this together.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about some of those, tools, and how you go about that process of being able to, just kind of put yourself in other people's shoes to say, you know what, I don't want you to have to go through everything that I had to go through. So tell us a little bit about how do you set that up? How does that look?
Well, first thing would be is to, all right, right off the rip. So of course on my website, I have like step 1, step 2, step 3, and there are these particular steps that you can work your way through with regards to starting from I have absolutely nothing to I actually have an LLC, and this is what this is the service, or this is the product that I'm bringing to the market, whatever your solution may be. But the first thing that I would do, knowing what I know now, regardless of whatever tools are out there, is I would always start with the mindset. There's a book out there actually called Mindset. I can't think of the name of the author right now, but it talks about, having your mind in a proper place, so that way you can train yourself to start thinking reinforcing those positive thoughts of, okay, this is what I want to become. This is who I know that I can become. And then you find yourself taking on daily habits and actions to where you actually become whatever that arc vision that you had about, whoever you saw yourself at the pinnacle of your life. So I will always start with the mindset first. The second thing would be is, what do you have a talent for? And people would say, well, you shouldn't always necessarily pursue your passion. You should find, markets that have you have what are called red oceans and blue oceans. The red ocean means that there's a lot of sharks over there. There's blood in the water, and it's saturated. Blue ocean mean there's no sharks over there, and there's customers, and there's food aplenty, and you can pretty much dominate that market. But I would say, instead of jumping on trendy things, follow whatever it is that you really enjoy, because you truly can make money from anything. And case in point, there's a guy on YouTube. This guy makes about $5 million a year. And you know what he does, Lashina? He races marbles.
What?
Marbles. This guy takes 5 marbles. I swear to you, man, it's crazy. That at that moment, that's when I realized you can do anything you want in this world. This guy takes 5 marbles, right? And he has a little slip of paper, and he's like an announcer, like it's a horse race. And you got people betting on these marbles, like marble 1. My money's on marble 1. This guy pulls the paper, and these marbles race down this ramp, and they just move to this little obstacle course. And whatever marble gets to the end is the one that wins. This dude has well over 1 million followers, and that's all he does. He races marbles. Now, who would have thought that you could be a millionaire, a multi-millionaire, racing marbles that you can get probably for 10, 15 cents for each marble? 10, 15 cents. So let's say if it's 10 cents, you got 5, that's 50 cents. Everybody has 50 cents somewhere just laying in between the cushions on their couch.
Yeah.
And this guy's making multi-million, and that's not even including like endorsements, advertisements, etc. That's just on what he's bringing in from the bets. People are betting on marbles. Now I'm not going to say it's preposterous because the guy loves marbles. So
Right.
kudos to him. But if I were to come to you and say, hey, you know what you probably can do? You could race marbles. Like, the fuck? Race marbles, man. And they'd be like, see, that's why he's the amateur, because he don't know what he's talking about. See what I'm saying? So I would start with, first start with the mindset. Second, start with the passion. So there's a process of where you can find things that you really like, and it's called mind maps. So mind map is basically a process of where you're able to take your ideas out, and instead of you writing them down in like a bulletized form, you take these ideas and you draw it in a picture form, so to speak. So you start with a circle, and it's the initial thought. Whatever thoughts that you have that come to mind, another term could be like brainstorming, but whatever thoughts like come to mind, you have different colors for these different thoughts, and you start to like branch it out, and it starts to look like a spider or an octopus. Then from each one of those thoughts, you start to branch that out even more. So you just let your mind run unfiltered on that sheet of paper. And you do this for about 15, 20 minutes until you're able to fill this whole paper up. And then once you're complete with that, you sit back and you look and you start looking at the different ideas that just came to mind, and you just wrote it, without any reservation. And you start saying to yourself, okay, which of these do I think, I would really enjoy pursuing? And then that helps you to kind of narrow down the particular niche. Then once you have that particular niche, now all you have to do is set up the type of corporation that you want, whether it be an S corp, corporation, or an LLC. And well, I'm not a lawyer or a tax specialist, so I can't really go into particulars for that. But beyond that, once you have that set up, now the next thing you're looking to do is marketing. So once you start marketing, well, first, before you hit the marketing, you want to know who is your target audience. Like, what does your dream customer look like? And you should have this person down to the T. You should know, how old they are. Is it male or female? Is it both? What do they look like? Where do they hang out? What social networks do they go to? What books do they read? You should know everything about your dream customer. And once you've understood your dream customer, now you start to market to that dream customer. So with that dream customer, when you're marketing to them, you should know what are the problems that they're dealing with. Now you have the solution over here, but you just need to know what problems are you dealing with, so that way this solution can match your problem or be the, or can help you with whatever situation that you're in. And I'm the fix for you. And when they see that, oh, that's a quality solution, I like that. What are they going to do? They're either going to refer it out to somebody else that is dealing with a similar problem that could possibly help them, or they're going to, depending on the type of service that you have, a product, they're going to continue to buy from you. So with that, as long as you're quality, you're going to have recurring business. Now, if you just create something really quick because you're like, I'm just trying to get to the bag, and you give it to them and they'll purchase it initially, what's going to happen is they'll say this product is shit. So they're not going to refer you, but they're definitely going to get online and they're going to go to Yelp and they're going to start typing what they think about you, your business, and your solution. Then you're going to start to see your reviews start to plummet. And the next thing you know, you're going to be like, why am I not getting business? Because the first thing that you had on mind was, I'm just trying to get to the bag. I got this solution. Let me give it to them, even though it may not fit their problem, but I'm going to sell it to them. But if you think about the person first, and if you think about the problem, how can you help them? Not how can they help you? Because if you help somebody, they're willing to help you back. But if you don't help somebody, they're not going to help you back. And giving somebody a product that is not beneficial is not helping them. So when you give them something that is of quality, then they're able to give you something that is of quality too. And the thing that you're asking for, you're saying, can I have your time? That's technically what money is. Money is time in paper form. The way that you got that money, you had to take your personal time and go spend it somewhere, whether it was on somebody else's job or whether it was in your own ventures that you were pursuing for yourself. Your time invested returned a paper form of fiat currency, which is the US dollar. I am asking for whatever it is that I'm exchanging with you, that you give me that dollar or that time, and they give that back to you. As long as whatever I'm giving you is a value, you're going to, it just keeps that cycle flowing. And then now you have that current or that currency. And as that currency continues to grow, as long as you are a faithful steward and you're responsible with it, you take that. Don't just sit on it. Invest it into your family, invest it into your community. So that way your community, as it starts to grow in value, your property starts to grow in value. And now you have this domino effect that starts to trickle, not just within space, within your neighborhood, but it trickles throughout time as it affects your generations that come behind you. So that's building that legacy, not just for yourself, but also for other families as well. But it all starts with the mindset, like we said earlier. So mindset, then you go from mindset, then you go to mind map. Then from mind map, then you go to dream customer. Then from your dream customer, then you have your solution. Then from your solution, then it's marketing the product and then making sure that that product is of quality. And the way you tell if your product is quality is you do a split test. You send it out to market A and market B. And you say, hey, listen, what do you like? What don't you like? And they tell you what they don't like. Listen to the market. Because a lot of times I see that people have a tendency, and I was the same way too, that you get so invested and so emotionally caught up in your product or your service that you think that it's perfect. And you're like, I'm not changing it for nobody. But if you don't change it to what the market is asking, they're saying, okay, I see the solution, but it something is wrong with it, or I would change this a little bit and it'll be perfect. If you don't tailor it to your dream customer, your target audience, your business is not going to survive. So you have to listen to your customers. Not saying the customer is always right, but listen to what it is that they desire or what it is that they want, and make sure that the solution that you've created fits that desire or fits that want, but also addresses that problem. Because if you don't do that, then they're going to go to somebody else that actually will.
Well, you just broke that down in 1, 2, 3 steps. I know there was more than 3, but you know what I mean. You broke it down into steps. You made it so simple, and you covered so much. And that's what, that's what I think a lot of budding entrepreneurs need to hear, is that there is a system to it. There is a system to your success.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I really want to make sure that people take away from our message today is about the market being saturated. I hear so many times, well, that's already being done. And you touched on that. That's already being done. Like the example with the marbles. That's crazy. And I think of the same thing. I posted something on social media one time. I was just in the grocery store on the condiment aisle, and there was maybe 2 rows of mayonnaise. There were all of these different brands, and I'm thinking to myself, how many ways can you make mayonnaise? They don't have flavored mayonnaise. They just have one kind of mayonnaise, and they have different brands of mayonnaise. And depending on what brand you like, then that's what you go with. But it was like a sea of mayonnaise. And I told myself right then, because I was struggling with, my entrepreneur side, which, I love. But I kept, that mindset, I kept having that self-talk saying, oh, that's already being done. There's already people that are way ahead of me in doing that. Right. But then when I looked at all that mayonnaise, and now this example of the marbles, and then when I see so many successful individuals who I know of, this one young entrepreneur, amazing young girl that I met in a networking event. She has her own brand of lemonade.
Oh, that's dope.
Lemonade. But she is working the hell out of that brand and being successful with lemonade. So don't tell me that the market is oversaturated. You can do whatever you do. Yep. And only you can do it that way. No one else can do it like you can do it.
That's right. Put your twist on it.
You have to put your twist on it and be authentic about it and bring it. And as I say, those who you are assigned to, those are the individuals that you will serve. You are not here to serve everyone, but those that you're sent here to serve, then those are the ones that will connect with you, and they will continue to rock with you. Yep. and it will work out. So I think there's so many amazing things that you said in unpacking that. But I think the one thing that I want to make sure that everyone takes away is that the market is not oversaturated for you because you're uniquely you.
Yep.
And there are steps to making it easy. And a lot of times that takes having someone that's there to coach you, to help you along the way, and to take you by the hand so that you're not making the same mistakes as, that you could make without someone else, or someone else being there for you.
That's right.
Would you not agree?
I agree wholeheartly. I mean, because case in point, added on to your saturation point, I mean, how long have cars been around? Like well over 100 years, right? So you're like, how many times can they reinvent the car? Along comes Elon Musk and Tesla. Motherfucker reinvented the car. You know why? Because people got tired of paying for damn gas. So he was like, I'm going to make a car where you don't even have to put gas in it. And you got to just plug it in the wall. That's a different type of fuel, but you just got to plug it in the wall. Now he's the richest guy in the world now. And he went into a market that was saturated. That's how he became the richest guy in the world. He beat Jeff Bezos' Amazon with Tesla.
Wow.
The cars they're not new. It's not like it's a flying car. It's the Jetsons that come and pick you up. Here comes Elroy. It was none of that. It was like, I got a car that you can just plug it into the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. And now, richest guy in the world. Richest guy in the world. So rich, he's focused on sending people to Mars now. he's a completely different market. That's crazy.
That's right.
Yeah,
so no excuses. No excuses. No excuses in your career. People say, oh, well, I'm not valued at my job and I can't get a raise and I can't, I get overlooked. All of those excuses, that you have to switch it, because unless you switch it, then what you're saying is going to continue to be true. Absolutely. And the same thing with entrepreneurship. And if you're being what I call a dualpreneur, or I've heard of it as parallelpreneur, and you know that you and I have both been that at one time, where we're holding down a day job, and then we have our job outside of our day job. Right. And, we're rocking it. And it takes mindset. It takes mind over matter to keep moving forward, because, it's a lot. And so you need to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people, like you said, that are there to encourage you, to support you, that are saying behind the scenes, cheering you on, you got this, you can do this. Yeah. And it's always so amazing to be able to talk to you. And I know we're getting close to our time of happy hour coming to a close. I'm so sad. I could keep talking to you, for hours and hours.
Warmed up. Wait a minute. Just getting started, man.
Wait a minute. That apple juice is kicking in.
It's like zero proof, but it's kicking in. It's working.
Well, please let us know. I know there was some people on the chat. They were mentioning something about the website. I think on mobile, maybe it doesn't have the same experience as desktop. So make sure that you go to the desktop so that you can get the full experience of the website. I know we've talked about the merch and having currency on your mind by having your hat on your head, but I'm gonna turn it over to you. What parting thoughts do you have? Takeaways, giveaways? What do you have for us? We just want you to be able to wrap it all up with a bow and tie, and I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. First thing that will come to mind, a mistake that I would consistently make in the past is don't try to execute. Don't try to wait to execute until you've thought that you've perfected the process. Because when you wait, because you're like, I have to make sure that it's right, everything has to be in its right place, you're going to find yourself in a position of what they call analysis paralysis, where you will analyze something for so long that nothing is ever going to be right, and you will find yourself in a paralyzed state because you're not acting on anything. So I would say, don't try to perfect the process. Whatever it is that you have, just put it out there. And as you go along, you can tweak it and you can make it better over time, because nothing is ever going to be or I don't want to say never, but from my experience and from what I've seen from other people's experiences, is that it never feels like the right time to launch because you're waiting for the stars to align, and they take a long time to align if they ever do. But I like to equate it to, before my wife and I, we had our first child, it was always, let's save up so we know that we have enough money to be able to take care of the child. But as time continually went on, it was like you start adding this up, adding that up, and it's like, man, will we ever have enough money to take care of the child? But the interesting thing is that as soon as you have that child, somehow, some way, everything falls into place and your status quo stays the same. Some way, I don't know how it works out that way. It's magic. But then the second child comes along and you still figure out a way to make it work. Third child comes along and it's the exact same thing. And I say that process is the same with regards to starting your business. When you're like, well, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to make that work? It's don't try to figure that part out because you're trying to perfect it and you're just over analyzing to where you don't move on whatever your dream is. Because the one thing that's not going to stop while you're thinking is time. And that's the one asset that we all have a finite amount of. Nobody has an unlimited amount of time. So I would say that make sure that you invest your time to the best of your ability, because we're all given the same 24 hours a day. We don't know when is going to be our last day. Hopefully we live for decades to come. But the thing is that if you knew the day that would be your last, what decisions would you make differently right now at this moment to try to accelerate for you to try to get there so you can put your children or your family or, leave a legacy to your loved ones, before it's too late. And so that's the thing that I've learned for myself, is that not to overanalyze, not try to always perfect the process, just put it out there and just trust that as long as you're doing right by yourself, you're authentic to you, keep your integrity, don't sell it, you'll be just fine. And everything else will fall into place on its own. So don't perfect the process.
Oh my goodness. I think this comment, it really sums it up. She says, that's awesome advice. I receive that.
Yeah. It's like perfecting a recipe. You know what I'm saying? Can you perfect a recipe?
You can put your oomph on it.
That's what I'm saying. They may say
put your foot up in there.
Only a clove of garlic. But if you just put just a little bit, if you was like, I'm not going to do it till I got it to the grain, you'll never cook a meal and you'll never be to enjoy it. So,
oh my gosh.
Now man.
Thank you so much for being guest co-host on Career Happy Hour. You brought this. Oh my goodness. Fire.
Yeah, dope. My first live, so this was nerve-wracking, but it felt good. I mean, once you get into, it's like riding a bike. Once you get into the flow of things, it's like, oh shit, this is not so bad. You know what I'm saying? Then you get to the point, you got your balance, you got one hand off the wheel, and then you get real cool, you got both hands off the wheel. You know what I'm saying? It's real dope. So this, you know what? This was exactly what I just talked about, because I was like, I can't go live until I got my lights in place and I got my backdrop, and this is me not perfecting the process. It's just like, you know what? They either gonna like it or they're not. But at the end of the day, I can go to sleep because I was me. And here I am on my first live, man. I love it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is great. Now I want to come back.
I am so thankful for you on so many fronts. I so appreciate you. And we are going to wrap up another session of the Career Happy Hour. I'm telling you, it is the place to be. So if you have not spread the word about going to RSVP to your family, friends, and network at careerhappyhour.com, you're doing a disservice to your network. What are you doing? We have so many exciting co-guests to come up and to be able to drop some gems. We are going to continue to bring you value, and we want to be able to hear from you, your feedback, and what are you learning? What are you taking away that you can immediately go in and execute on and some of the ROI that you're getting on that. So we're going to wrap it up for today. We so appreciate you coming to join us. Thank you again, Isaiah, the king of the amateur entrepreneur up in the house. That's what I'm talking about. And I am Lashina Recruitalina, your six-figure career life coach. I am here for any of your needs that's related to your career, whether it be maximizing your resume, maximizing your LinkedIn profile, getting you seen, being able to help you with conflict at work, getting an internal promotion, salary negotiations, anything related to your career. As you see, I have all the network for if you want to look at multiple streams of income and branching into entrepreneurship. I am your girl. So please make sure you continue to tune in, share. Let's make this a movement that everyone can come and be their authentic self, be able to let go, vent, and be able to learn things that you can immediately put into place so that you can have some maximizing your ROI and being able to maximize your oomph so that you can stay recruitable, visible, and profitable. I'm Lashina Recruitalina. I'll see you next time on Career Happy Hour. Take care.